From Washington, this is VOA News. More violence in Ukraine. The United States offers Congo $30 million for upcoming elections. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. Hundreds of pro-Russian militants stormed the police station Sunday in the southern Ukraine city of Odessa, winning the release of some of the activists arrested 2 days ago. The protesters bashed in doors of one entrance to the station with a battering ram before pushing their way in through a garage. Authorities freed more than 60 of the 150 arrested last Friday in clashes that led to a fire that killed 42 mostly pro-Russian activists.
Уничтожение страны, раскол страны – это российский план.
Ukrainian Prime Minister Arseniy Yatseniuk says Russia is seeking to destroy Ukraine by engineering clashes. Mr. Yatseniuk visited Odessa Sunday, 2 days after that deadly blaze in the southern port city of 1 million people. Ukraine says it will continue pressing its military offensive against pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine, as the Kremlin reports receiving thousands of calls for help from the region's Russian-speaking citizenry. Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan ordered top security officials to do everything possible to secure the release of more than 200 schoolgirls kidnapped last month by suspected Islamist extremists. The girls were abducted April 15th in the town of Chibok in Borno State. About 50 of the 276 abducted girls are said to have since escaped. The kidnapping is being blamed on the militant Islamist group Boko Haram, but the group has not claimed responsibility. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is calling on Congolese President Joseph Kabila to respect his country's constitution and not run for a third term. VOA Scott Stearns reports.
Following talks with President Kabila, Secretary Kerry announced an additional $30 million in support for transparent and credible Congolese elections.
I encouraged President Kabila to work with his government and the parliament in order to complete the election calendar and the budget. And they need to do so in accordance with the Constitution.
U.S. officials say that means respecting electoral timetables and constitutional limits that prevent Mr. Kabila from seeking a third term in 2016. The president's political opponents fear Mr. Kabila will again change the Constitution to allow another term, as he did in 2011. Kerry commended the Kabila government's work to combat ethnic militia in eastern Kivu provinces and said the Obama administration will continue to help improve standards of living there. Scott Stearns, VOA News, Kinshasa.
There is confusion in Libya, where the acting Speaker of Parliament declared Sunday's election of a new prime minister by lawmakers invalid. 42-year-old businessman Ahmed Matik took the oath of office after apparently getting 121 votes in the General National Congress. 120 are needed to win, but the most Matik received in earlier balloting was 113 votes. It is still unclear how many rounds of voting actually took place. This led the acting Speaker of Parliament, currently the highest-ranking Libyan official, to declare Sunday's election invalid and illegal. And he asked outgoing Prime Minister Abdullah al-Thani to stay in office until a new vote is held. A Syrian monitoring group says heavy fighting between rival rebel factions in eastern Syria killed 62 fighters and forced tens of thousands of people to flee their homes over the past few days. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says rebels from the al-Qaeda breakaway group Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant and the Nusra Front have been fighting over control of territory they previously took from Syrian government forces. Global leaders are holding 2 days of talks in Abu Dhabi aimed at generating momentum for UN Climate Summit in September. Philip Walter Wellman has more.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon gave the participants instructions.
This is not going to be a talk summit. This will be a solutions summit.
Speaking to the delegates in the UAE capital, Mr. Bond said past efforts to combat climate change had generated a lot of rhetoric, but not enough action.
If we do not take urgent action, all our plans for increased global prosperity and security will be undone.
Former U.S. Vice President Al Gore, who also spoke in Abu Dhabi, and other environmentalists blame rising temperatures for an increase in the number and severity of natural disasters worldwide, including Typhoon Haiyan, which killed more than 6,000 people in the Philippines last year. Philip Walter Wellman for VOA News, Abu Dhabi.
Iran says UN nuclear inspectors will visit 2 sites this week as part of its agreement to curb nuclear activities. The IAEA has no comment. I'm Ray Kouguell, VOA News. More at voanews.com.